Greetings and welcome to In Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. If you didn't know, 12 and Under is back. We are joined by the executive producer, attorney at law, Christophe Brathwaite, the main driver behind the resumption of this show. Mr. Brathwaite, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great. How are you going, Dike?
I'm all right, thank you. Very happy to be having this conversation. And I want to start off asking about the legacy of 12 and Under. When you say 12 and Under, what memories does that evoke to you?
Yeah. Automatically, you think Auntie Hazel. You think Uncle Maurice. Automatically, you think that. You think about youth development. You think about young kids having the opportunity and to showcase their talents.
And you talk about development. Is this iteration, is it just a competition with an eventual winner? What is it about?
That's exactly what it's not. So it's not just a competition. And that's why we actually have the little title, It's Not Just a Talent Show. Because this rounds, I wanted to be able to capture youth development per se, in meaning that how there must be some sort of growth, there must be some sort of development when it comes to the performer themselves. So I mean, Auntie Hazel touched on it, she was there with your pose and your pitch, and she was able to speak well and tell you how to speak well and stuff like that too. But this time we're going a little bit further. This time I took out a lot of concepts, a lot of principles, which I think these days are missing in society. Things like how to make a good judgment call, how to be responsible, self-respect, cultural togetherness. These are the themes that I've identified and put as a theme for each episode. So now we're way into the semifinals, but persons who've been watching the show before would have seen the different themes, and that was brought across the screen by our own Vonnet Bigford and the piano girl, Johanna Chuckery.
And it's interesting.
And Tim Tim. And Tim Tim. He played his
Definitely.
part too as well.
And as executive producer, was it important to you that these things are overt as opposed to mommy say pick sense from nonsense? So you may get something about the poise, you may get something about this, as opposed to overtly saying this is something that we want to push. This is a theme. This is a concept that we want people who are participating, as well as just viewers, to be thinking about when they take
it was a far cry from subliminal. It was very, very expressed within each particular theme. I made sure that when my producers were doing the scripts, that they touched on the points, because I gave a lot of points, a lot of bullet points in terms of exactly what self-respect was, what how to make a good judgment call, how to be a better Trinbagonian, those kind of things. That I actually pinpointed stuff that I wanted to bring across, so parents would say, aha, and children will say also, aha, this is how it is done. This is what I'm supposed to be like. This is how I become a better Trinbagonian.
Now, it's one thing to say, okay, well, yes, I love 12 and Under, they carry me back or set adrift on memory bliss. Is another thing to say, okay, well, we are going to do this. Take me through some of those steps that help bring about 12 and Under. It's more than just a talent show in this iteration test.
Right. Well, first of all, I designed a particular proposal, and I broke down each episode with, as I said before, into different themes, right? So I made sure that when the kid is showcasing their talent, I also made it possible for the host to be able to communicate with the particular talent, right? So we had interviews post the contestants. So that's a little bit different than 12 and Under. So you had an interview segment with the contestant. I spoke to them about their talent. I spoke to them about if they would like to make this a particular career, how to go about doing it, And then there was also the mentor episode, which was something also new in the mix that rebranded 12 and Under. So I had a mentor episode whereby some of our mentors, like Marshall Montano, Dexter Simmons, we had also Roger Riley. So they had specific roles to play. And I expressly told them, look, it is not just a talent show. Don't just look at the talent, right? And speak to them about what they did wrong or what they did right. Talk to them about what it takes if they want to make this particular art form, which they are talented in, a career.
So there are a few things that you're saying there, and I want to interrogate, or I want to ask you about them one by one. One of them, though, is, you mentioned it earlier, Tim Tim, Vonnet Bigford, Johanna Chuckery. What goes into saying, these are the people that I want to basically facilitate these young children along this journey?
Right. So, yeah, it's a hard question there, but I mean, I looked at the different characters, and there are a lot of capable hosts out there in public, especially in Trinidad and Tobago too as well. But I wanted persons who I think were, when I say fresh, meaning that's how they weren't used and we wouldn't see them over and over again on different platforms, especially platforms like what went before, whether it be Judicial Rising Star, whether it be Sandfest, whether it be, you know, that kind of those kind of types of shows, whether those type of shows. I wanted a face that was fresh. I also wanted a face that was, in terms of, when I say a face, I don't mean physical face. I mean a personality, you know, a personality and an image that would also, one, the children will look up to and respect. I mean, there's that connection too as well, you know. So I mean, the children connected with Auntie Vonnet off the bat because she's that kind of personality. Tim Tim too as well. They connected with Tim Tim with his very comedic as well as serious personality, and sometimes too as well, you know, because Tim Tim actually brought across some of my themes, I think, in an excellent way, you know, in terms about courage, and talks about self-respect, in terms about self-discipline and stuff too. And then you have Johanna too as well. So Johanna too as well is very, very personable too as well. So they can relate. So a lot of those things I wanted to be able to bring to the public. And those are the three personalities that I chose.
But some people might say that it is taking a risk because, yes, this person is fresh and we're not sure. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. So right. What was it? Was it a lot of hand holding? Did you have to be convinced? Did you have to convince them that, yes, they're ready to do this and they can?
Yeah, I was so blessed. I did not have to do any sort of hand holding whatsoever. Yeah, that was it was like a magical gel. You know, they fit in so well. I mean, especially in terms of the scripts. I didn't have to impress upon them. They were on board with it. You know, all three personalities are very, very civic minded. So I didn't have that, okay, hold your hand, this is what I want you to do, this is what I want you to say. You know, so that they were able to pattern themselves, look at my themes, go against that kind of guideline, and I was very blessed. I was very fortunate then. So I mean, I would say luck of the draw, but I look at people all the time, you know, and I see personalities all the time, and I've been following. I told Vonnet I've been stalking her for a long, long time because I had this idea to bring about 12 and under, and I mean, I can't think of any other better host. I can't.
And on that blessing, we take a short break. We're speaking with the executive producer of 12 and Under, Christophe Brathwaite. Stay with us. We'll return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking with executive producer of 12 and Under, Christophe Brathwaite, and we just spoke about what went into choosing the hosts. Was it the same kind of process with the judges?
Yes. So, I mean, in the beginning, because we had over 180 video submissions, right? And so I knew we were going to get a lot of submissions. So I thought to myself, and because judging is so subjective, right? I wanted to give at least those 180 submissions a wide range of subjectivity. So I had a screening committee, which I mean, I call them judges, but I call them actually screening committee. So the screening committee will look at the video presentations, and then that will push forward into your prelims. The screening committee were over 14 different persons from different genres in terms of dance, acting, music, It was from all over. And I mean, when I say all over, I mean from all over. A lot of talent, a lot of young talent too as well, upcoming talent too as well. I mean, I can't remember all of the names off the bat, but I mean, it's on our website. So you can go to our website and see who the screening committee comprised of, you know? So I use this screening committee to sift out, to come up with the talent. I also did walk-ins too as well, because I wanted to touch also the ground too as well. I mean, if I had more time, to be honest, I would have been able to do it in different locations, but time was of the essence. And so I did two walk-ins, one in Port of Spain and one in South. But I really wanted to um, look at the video submissions more than anything else, and also give an opportunity for persons who may not be able to make it into a walk-in, especially our brothers and sisters in Tobago too as well. And it was very difficult to come across. And we had submissions from Tobagonians too as well. And actually we have a Tobagonian actually making it into the semi-final round too as well. You know, I mean, next season for sure, Tobago will see me, you know, but it was very hard. I mean, a lot of resources were needed for this show especially. And I also want to take this opportunity before we close up, Dike, in terms of thanking my sponsors, thanking the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, the Honorable Randall Mitchell, as well as the Minister of Communications, Minister Nobrega too as well, Mr. Simon Nobrega. I mean, they actually came out and supported. I mean, I was a little disappointed with corporate Trinidad, but I mean, I understand the wait and see approach. But now we have a really, really good project. It's a really, really good product too as well. And I hope that corporate sponsorship will come out in full for the next season.
And even outside of corporate sponsorship, because I really take that point, I think also the parents and the children who are looking, because I remember doing it then and now being on the other side of it now in terms of being a parent, as opposed to being a child looking, but saying that this is something that is worthwhile. This is something that we can be a part of. And where else would you find a situation where you have someone able to speak to Dr. Louis Nurse, able to speak to Marshall Montano, Neval Chaitlal, able to speak to some of these people that would have actually been outside of Trinidad and Tobago, and you see them, you can, being able to engage, interact with them. Someone is looking at you and saying, this is what you can do. This is something that you might want to think about the next time you perform. And even outside of that language, how important is the use of language? So this may be something that you want to think about, as opposed to, yeah, what now? The other person doing better than you, you know. They play part and all, you know. So is that something that you would have spoken to your selection committee about, the way that they treat with these individuals, these impressionable youth? What was that like?
Yeah, so most definitely. And I mean, we spoke off the mic about it, and this is what I call cultural education. You know, it's something new for us to put our heads around, because we are accustomed having the education be defined to us, you know, maths, English, chemistry, biology, you know, all these different things. But here we have now something called I think cultural education. And this is why I ask the mentors to not only speak about the talent, but also speak about the journey to get there, what it takes to get there, you know, how to harness your culture and turn it into something that is commercial too as well. All that takes skill, because that is what Marshall did, that is what Neval did, that is what Dr. Louis Nurse did, right? They took their talent, right, their local talent, and they commercialized it, you know, and they built their product as themselves, because I'm also an entertainment attorney too as well. So I understand, you know, image rights and stuff like that. So we need to educate, right? Educate. Music education is also, I mean, music education has been around for a while. We know of this, but cultural education, that is something that we now have to bring to the table and have Trinidad and Tobago look at into a different form and look at it as a different type of education. You know, I mean, unfortunately, I had sponsors saying, well, Christophe, you know, this doesn't fall on our pillar as education. And I was like, what? How can this not be education? How can look at what they're learning? Look at the development. Look how they could turn this into a career. You know, that kind of thing. So I mean, as it is, that is the kind of language that I want my mentors, what my hosts, to be able to express and communicate to my contestants.
I I can't understate it. I can't overstate it. It is what it is. Sometimes people say those who can't teach. I have my views on that. But to be able to get that sort of guidance, that sort of mentorship from someone who has been in the business and I think even older than Marshall Montano,
Invaluable.
that communication that the young pianist had with Dr. Nurse, and I'm seeing that hunger, because he quieter, but he loud with it in terms of the intensity that he had.
Correct. Correct. He's communicating differently than us. You understand? He understands his music and he's communicating through his music. These are the things that we have to support. Not everyone is going to be able to build a bridge. Not everyone is going to be able to be a doctor, not everyone be a lawyer or anything like that. But there's a certain talent and a certain viability within that we can use as talent too as well to make it commercially viable.
And looking at the fact that this may be the opportunity that shows him that yes, he can, as opposed to I need to remain a hobbyist all my life. Because I'm within, I can literally touch these people. But in the 2 minutes that we have remaining, Christophe, what defines success for this year, this series, this competition, which is more than a talent show? Because you already started to talk about the next one.
Well, I'm going to be very subjective in my response. And I will say that, Dike, if I am able to move one contestant to achieve their goal, I will be successful. I would think this entire show would be successful. Move one contestant to be tuned and understand what it takes as a performer and how to turn that performance into something that is commercially viable and sustainable, I would have succeeded.
One of the reasons I love that answer so much is actually reminds me of the story of the starfish, the parables of the starfish. And that is something that I try to live every day. In terms of like just one person.
It's one person.
We might magnify that, but you're dealing with one person, and there's that ripple effect. So we want to thank you so much, Christophe Brathwaite, for having that vision. And apart from just having the vision, putting some action behind it. Yes. And on behalf of the entire crew at TTT, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for joining us.